presidential candidates continue with campaigns across the country. And in sports, TFF Players Status Committee suspends ruling on Yanga SC's Morrison case. Good evening. This is Capital News at 9:30. My name is Vanessa Victor. Let's start things off with the national news. Hundreds of residents of Butiama in Mara region have joined the family of the late father of the nation, Mwalimu Julius Kambarage Nyerere, in a special mass to pray for him at Maria Damu Azizi Catholic Church in Butiama Parish at Mwitongo Village.
Tunu ya nne ambayo Mwalimu alisisitiza kwamba itakuletea maendeleo Tanzania.
You cannot be a good leader if you have bad politics. Politics centered on creating enmity or religion or ethnicity or any kind of discrimination cannot produce good leaders in any nation. The family recognizes that today is a day where all Tanzanians in the whole country are commemorating the departure of our founding father, Mwalimu Julius Kambarage Nyerere. It is 21 years now since Mwalimu passed away. It is possible some were born when he passed away and others after. So there are many young people who don't know him. So I would like to urge young people to read the history and understand what kind of a leader he was.
Hasa ya Mwalimu Nyerere, ya nchi pia na ya Mwalimu Nyerere. Na wafahamu hasa alikuwa ni kiongozi wa namna gani.
Chama cha Demokrasia na Maendeleo Chadema Party's presidential candidate for the United Republic of Tanzania, Tundu Lissu, has been forced to use a canoe from Kisoria in Bunda district to Ukerewe Island in Mwanza region so as to continue with his campaigns for president of the sixth phase government in the coming general elections.
Hii ni mara yangu ya kwanza kutumia usafiri wa boti.
This is the first time for me to use the boat on political business, but the most important question here is why we've used the boat. It is because the ferry had not been allowed to operate in this area so as to prevent us to come here and campaign in Ukerewe. The founding father of this nation's vision continues to be our guide in various areas. Our founding father is not just for CCM party only, but he belongs to all of us. Ukerewe, with a population of 300,000 plus people who wait for the ferry. If it is possible to construct a bridge, why is it then impossible to build a bridge connecting Ukerewe and Victoria?
And Chama cha Mapinduzi CCM Party's presidential candidate, Dr. John Magufuli, has continued with his campaigns in Dar es Salaam at Kawe constituency, where he also commemorated the death of Mwalimu Julius Kambarage Nyerere, urging Tanzanians to honor him by rejecting candidates disregarding the union and giving statements that threaten the peace of the country.
Mmewasikia baadhi ya wagombea kwa kauli zao na vitendo vyao.
You've heard from some candidates from their speech and action implying that they don't want the union. This election will give you the opportunity as Tanzanians to elect leaders who will uphold our union or those who intend to break it. Go to shops in Namanga. Many shops there are owned by people from Pemba. They are operating there and selling their goods without any problem. If you go to Pemba, you will find people of all tribes.
Kwenye miaka mitano iliyopita, serikali ya awamu ya tano
imejitahidi kutekeleza maono ya baba wa taifa.
In the last 5 years, the fifth phase government has tried to carry out the vision of the founding father of our nation using his principles and the will he left us. More so, the founding father of this nation encouraged people to work hard using our slogan, Hapa Kazi Tu. In the last 5 years, our country has not suffered from hunger. This is a big success. In the last 5 years, our economy has become one of the economies growing in Africa.
Katika miaka mitano iliyopita, uchumi wa nchi yetu umekuwa ni miongoni mwa uchumi zinazokuwa katika Afrika.
As efforts to put out the ongoing fire that continues to destroy native vegetation on Mount Kilimanjaro, the government has set strategies to purchase helicopter and fire extinguishing equipment at national conservation areas.
TANAPA and KINAPA specifically.
TANAPA and KINAPA must be ready to fight fire incidences like the one we've witnessed. And in spite of the fact that we have a program to deal with fires, I've instructed that it should be expanded and invest in long-term infrastructure.
Pamoja na kuwepo kwa moto huu, nipende tu kuwathibitishia Watanzania.
I'd like to assure Tanzanians and the international community that tourist activities are going on in Kilimanjaro National Park. We took all precaution to inform tourists on what was going on.
Tumechukua tahadhari zote kuhakikisha kwamba watalii wanapewa taarifa zote muhimu.
Following infrastructure in Dar es Salaam failing to cope with rains that fell yesterday, causing significant challenges to residents, many of whom spent hours in traffic, residents have asked that infrastructure in the city be improved so as to avoid such challenges from occurring.
The rain started to fall early yesterday morning, and it rained the whole day. As you can see, we've been up since then. The road is impassable. We have to walk in water. I asked the government that the area from Mapipa to build a flyover, it should be prioritized. Yesterday this road was closed, so Mbezi residents had to go through Kigogo. I arrived home at 1 a.m.
Kwa mguu jana gari zenyewe foleni njiani hazitembei. Na maana jana mimi mpaka nafika Mbezi saa 7 usiku.
A group of over 10 people with weapons are alleged to have invaded 3 houses, including the home of Chadema parliamentary candidate for Chato constituency, in the middle of the night, where they demolished the houses, destroyed and burnt property, with the police force conducting a house-to-house hunt to find those involved in the criminal acts.
Mtu mmoja anaitwa Lucas Michael au anaitwa Masaya, miaka 66.
A candidate for the parliamentary seat in Chato on Chadema party ticket was attacked at home. A group of young people broke the gate but did not enter the house. They set the bajaji on fire. We used tear gas to disperse the group around Tundu Lissu for his own safety, and he was grateful that we had done so because he was surrounded by many people and it was at night.
The Minister of Foreign Affairs and East Africa Cooperation, Professor Palamagamba Kabudi, has gotten into an accident after the vehicle he was traveling in collided with a Bajaj at Kihonda area, Morogoro Municipal, when coming from Dar es Salaam heading to Kilosa district.
Ziara katika wilaya yetu ya Kilosa. Ziara ambayo mengine naye alikuwa anakimbia kuja tushirikiane wote.
We were ahead and we received a call that he had an accident, so we had to come back here and found that already he had been brought to the hospital and he is doing well.
With 14 days left to the general elections and as Tanzanians commemorate 21 years since the passing of the father of the nation, Mwalimu Julius Nyerere, his philosophies in change and leadership transitions were main reasons that he stepped down from the presidency in 1988.
Wanasiasa wote wanatakiwa wajue.
All politicians must understand the foundation that built this nation. Politics that is people-centered, politics that defends people's freedom, politics that protects their dignity, one unites them. He defended the rights of his people and he served the people. He represented them. If you go to Butiama, you would not think that he lived there. We have neglected him and failed to honor him as we should. During Mwalimu's time, there was one party and he respected everyone. He was my friend. He cared for equal rights.
Some leaders of Tanzania People's Defense Force, TPDF, along with over 200 government officials from Tanga and Muheza district, have walked 35 kilometers from Muheza district to Tanga as a way to commemorate and honor the father of the nation, the late Julius Kambarage Nyerere.
This is one way to sensitize them so they could speak to fellow young men in order for them to come and vote.
Mimi nilifanikiwa mwaka 2015 kukimbiza mwenge wa uhuru kitaifa.
I was lucky to go through the whole country bearing the independence torch.
Na huo mwenge muasisi wake ni baba wa taifa. Kwa hiyo zoezi lile siku zote linanikumbusha.
The government has emphasized that the Mwalimu Nyerere hydropower plant project at the Rufiji River, which is costing 6.5 trillion shillings, will be completed as planned in June 2022 as funds to implement the strategic project are available.
Rais wetu wa Jamhuri ya Muungano wa Tanzania,
a President of the United Republic of Tanzania, intends on completing this project. There is money available and the project will be completed.
Maeneo yote ambayo tumeyapitia ambayo vijana wetu wameenda kufanya kazi.
In all areas we visited, our young people are working hard. They have done an excellent job and it is a big opportunity for our country that within a short space of time we will have reliable electricity.
Tunahitaji the means.
We must look and see if we can shorten the time to complete the project as it will help us reduce the cost.
Hata tukarudi mwezi mmoja kabla au miezi miwili kabla itakuwa vizuri zaidi.
That's all for the national news. International news is next. And now in international news. As Tanzania commemorates 21 years since the death of the father of the nation, Mwalimu Julius Kambarage Nyerere, Tanzanians have been urged to honor him by maintaining peace during this campaign period and to go out and vote. This was said by the Tanzanian ambassador to Kenya, Dr. John Stephen Simbachawene.
As one of the founders of Pan-Africanism, as the ambassador of Tanzania, based here in Nairobi, I continue to uphold what was started by these founders, particularly Honorable Julius Kambarage Nyerere and Jomo Kenyatta, meaning to uphold the cooperation between Kenya and Tanzania.
Kwa maana ya kuenzi muungano, yani ushirikiano kati ya Tanzania na Kenya.
Coronavirus is back with a vengeance in Germany and around Europe as infection rates rise rapidly. State and national leaders are moving swiftly to control resurgence of the pandemic, but their actions are having some unintended consequences. For more, let's turn to William Glucroft, our correspondent with our media partner Deutsche Welle in Berlin. So, William, how bad has the situation become?
Hi, Vanessa. Well, it's becoming very worrying here in Germany in just the last 24 hours. We've seen new confirmed cases of more than 5,000. That's up from more than 4,000 the day before, and deaths going from 13 to 43 people in the entire country. Now, relative to some neighboring countries like France and Spain and the United Kingdom, those numbers are still pretty low, where in those countries you're seeing more than 10,000 cases a day, and of course we're nowhere near where we were in the spring. But relative to where Germany has been in the last few weeks, coming out of the summer months, it's almost a twofold increase in just the last few weeks, and that is what is so worrying, especially when you consider the fact that we've only just begun colder temperatures here, just begun with the winter time. We're only maybe a few days where it's been less comfortable to be outside, where you've been turning on the heat, putting on that extra coat, and maybe gathering inside. So if this is where things are now, we're looking at a potential big problem going into the dark, long, gray winter ahead of us, and that's what officials are trying to get on top of before it really gets out of hand.
So speaking of trying to get on top of things, what has been the response so far?
Well, you can kind of describe it as a Russian doll of bureaucracy, everything from the European Union level at the highest all the way down to the local district level at the lowest. It's just been a hodgepodge and a mishmash of rules and restrictions and things that conflict with one another, and different states within Germany, even different local districts within Germany are having competing restrictions. Some states are saying, you can't travel if you're from a certain place that has a certain amount of infections per 100,000 people. Others say it's okay, but with a negative test result. Some are requiring quarantining if you're going to travel from one state to another. So it's really quite a mess. It's very frustrating and confusing to a lot of people, and also to the public officials. We've been seeing a lot of infighting among leaders of the different states here in Germany, kind of blaming each other for making the situation bad. Berlin, back in the spring when we had our first wave, it did pretty well, actually, especially for being such a big city with so many people. And now we're seeing a complete opposite. Berlin is one of the worst hit places with some of the highest infection rates. We're seeing more than 70 people per 100,000 having COVID-19 confirmed. And yeah, that's what's being so difficult right now. Is you see that also on the European level, trying to find a single uniform rules and ways to assess the situation among the 27 member states of the European Union. But the EU has its hands tied because it can really only give recommendations and suggestions. It can't really order or instruct any member state to follow a certain rule. It's still up to the nation states, and as said, it's up to local municipalities.
Now, how do officials hope to move forward?
Well, there's a big meeting happening or getting underway very soon between Angela Merkel and the 16 leaders of Germany's federal states. This will be the first time they've all met in person in months, and there's some hope that maybe that in-person interaction will put a little more pressure on the officials there to come to some kind of agreement, because right now it just doesn't work. For example, here in Berlin, just a few minutes down the road is the border to the next state, and it just doesn't make any sense when Berlin has one set of rules and the next state over has another set of rules. You have people who live in one state and work in another, and vice versa. So there's just the question of how are all the states going to get on board. There's talk of maybe increased mask usage, more penalties, more fines if you break the rules. This is what's all going to be decided today, but these kinds of discussions between Angela Merkel and the state leaders are often long, they're contentious, they take a very long time till we get to that long-awaited press conference where they come out of their closed-door meeting and tell us what they've actually agreed upon. And we see that again on the European Union level. There's now this traffic light system to decide which countries and which places in the European Union are the most at risk But again, that's just a suggestion. Different countries having different rules, different standards. So it's going to be quite a challenge to get everybody on the same page, if that's possible at all, as we look ahead to these winter months.
So thank you very much, William, for that update. It should be interesting to see how this how the whole situation plays out and what decisions are made in the end. Our report ends our international news. We'll be back with sports after this break.
Away first time, good start from Bolt. Bolt leading a moment and going away. Gay trying to go with him and he's being dragged through to second place, but he's going to win it by 2 meters. Away first time, good start from Bolt. Bolt leading a moment and going away. Gay trying to go with him and he's being dragged through to second place, but he's going to win it by 2 meters.
Opposition, Joaquinho, he did lose to Lynn.
And in sports news, Tanzania Football Federation TFF Players Status Committee has postponed its ruling against Bernard Morrison for alleged double signing.
In short, the committee did not discuss Morrison's issue because the defendant had an excuse for not reporting at the meeting because he had club duties with Simba. The committee saw it fit for the defendant to be there in person due to the importance of the situation.
Neymar surpassed Ronaldo for the second most goals for Brazil with a hat-trick against Peru on Tuesday.
The Paris Saint-Germain star put away a penalty in either half of the World Cup qualifier in Lima before tapping home from close range in injury time. 28-year-old Neymar moved on to 64 goals in 103 games for Brazil, pulling past the great Ronaldo in second place on the nation's all-time goal-scoring list. Ronaldo scored 62 goals in 98 games for Brazil in a 17-year career for his nation that included winning 2 World Cups, 2 Copa Americas, and a Confederations Cup.
Raheem Sterling is expected to be fit for Saturday's visit of Arsenal to Manchester City after being forced to withdraw from the England squad due to a hamstring injury. Here's more.
Sterling's progress will be a relief to Pep Guardiola, as City's manager has fielded the 25-year-old centre forward to deputise for the long-term injured Sergio Aguero and Gabriel Jesus. With Kevin De Bruyne also sent home by Belgium on Monday as a precaution, the manager's ability to call on his 2 most important senior players appeared in the balance. Sterling is City's top scorer this season, having registered 3 times in 5 games in the league and the FA Cup. He also has 2 assists.
The Juventus forward Cristiano Ronaldo is tested positive for coronavirus. The Portuguese Football Federation has confirmed this. Here is more on this.
The 35-year-old is said to be doing well without symptoms and in isolation with no further positive tests reported in the squad before Portugal's Nations League match against Sweden tonight. The PFF confirmed in a statement following the positive case. The remaining players underwent new tests yesterday, all with a negative result, and are available to Fernando Santos for training this afternoon in Cidade do Futebol. Ronaldo had played in both of Portugal's matches so far during the international break.
Gareth Southgate has lost Kieran Trippier for the Nations League tie against Denmark on tonight, as the fullback must attend a Football Association disciplinary hearing to answer charges relating to the breaking of betting rules, a situation that the England manager described as an unwanted distraction.
With several alleged breaches during July of last year, which was the same month that he moved from Tottenham to Atletico Madrid for £20 million. He has said that he did not place any bets himself or profit from bets made by other people. The 30-year-old could be banned for up to 6 months if found guilty. The timing of this week's hearing is unfortunate. The FA would not confirm that it will be on the day of the Denmark game, and Southgate admitted he had no control over it.
And that sports item ends our news bulletin. On behalf of everyone who worked to bring you this bulletin, my name is Vanessa Victor. Thank you for watching. Have a good night.
You can watch Capital News live on our social media accounts, YouTube Capital TV and Facebook Capital Television Tanzania from Monday to Friday at 9:30 p.m. Don't forget to subscribe and put notification on. Na habari za wakati huu, mpendwa mtazamaji wa ITV Super Brand Afrika Mashariki, msikilizaji wa Radio 1 na Capital Radio, karibu katika kipindi cha dakika 45, kipindi ambacho kinakujia kila siku za wiki muda na wakati kama leo, na hapa huwa tunazungumza na wanasiasa. Kumbuka ya kwamba taifa la Tanzania linaelekea katika uchaguzi mkuu Oktoba 28 kwa mujibu wa kalenda ambayo ilitangazwa na Tume ya Taifa ya Uchaguzi. Mimi naitwa Farhia Midle na mpiga picha hapa nitakuwa na Idrisa Magomeni pamoja na wenzangu wote ambao tutashirikiana kwa pamoja kukuletea kipindi hiki na kukaribisha sana mtazamaji pamoja na msikilizaji wetu. Na leo hii mtazamaji pamoja na msikilizaji, tumebahatika kuwa na mgombea urais wa Zanzibar kupitia Chama cha Mapinduzi. Si mwingine ni Mheshimiwa Dr. Hussein Ali Mwinyi, ambaye tutazungumza mengi masuala ya kisiasa kuelekea Oktoba 28 katika masuala ya sera pamoja na ilani ya Chama cha Mapinduzi, hasa tukitazama kwa upande huu wa Zanzibar. Na kukaribisha sana mtazamaji pamoja na msikilizaji, tuwe pamoja kuanzia mwanzo mpaka mwisho wa kipindi hiki. Karibu. Mheshimiwa, habari za kwako?
Salama kabisa.
Ndio, unaendeleaje na masuala ya kisiasa?
Nashukuru, tunaendelea vizuri. Kampeni inakwenda vizuri.
Ndio. Naona una kampeni zako wenyewe wanasema za kisayansi.
Kileo kabisa.
Ndio, sawa sawa. Basi bila shaka hivi sasa Wazanzibar pamoja na Watanzania kwa ujumla wanakufuatilia kupitia ITV pamoja na kusikiliza kupitia Radio 1 na Capital Radio. Labda utuambie hasa nini hasa dhamira ambayo imekusukuma Mheshimiwa Dr. Hussein Ali Mwinyi katika kugombea kiti hiki cha urais wa Zanzibar na kutumikia Wazanzibar?
Niseme tu kwamba kitu kikubwa kilichonisukuma kutaka kugombea nafasi hii ni mapenzi kwa nchi yangu, ni uzalendo wangu kwa nchi yangu, nimehisi kwamba nikigombea nafasi hii nitakuwa katika nafasi nzuri ya kuwatumikia Wazanzibari. Kwa hiyo ndicho kilichonisukuma kugombea.
Naam. Na hii ilikuwa ni ndoto ama ilikuwaje? Uliwahi kutegemea siku moja labda utaitaka nafasi hii ya urais?
Kwa kweli kama ilivyo katika mawazo ya kila mwanasiasa, ni kupiga hatua katika utumishi au kwenye nyadhifa za kisiasa. Mimi nilivyokuwa